Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Warren, and it's great to have you here with us tonight. We have quite a few new faces and a few familiar. So I'm glad that all of you could make it for this third edition of AI Agent Automation. Basically, we're going through, and Andrew, all right, Andrew. We're going through a process where we're looking at ways to make our lives and our jobs as a startup founder easier. And I'm going to go through some demonstrations of different ways to, different automations. I'm looking at N8N this evening. Often you'll see presenters say, okay, there's this one and there's this one, and you get to decide which one is best for you, but you have no clue how to decide. And that always frustrated me. And I thought, this is crazy. Why are we letting this happen? Because we don't need to. And so with that in mind, I'm going to, just demonstrate how to use N8N, because it's so far, as far as I know, it's the easiest. And also, I'm going to demonstrate how to use ChatGPT to create these N8N automations. Okay, well, we call them workflows, but I call them an automation because really a workflow is an agent. And we're going to look at them from the backside today. I'm not going to dress them up and make them look all wow, with something like a lovable and vibe coding. I have another guest later on in the Carl and Leo, who is going to talk about that as a teaser for a future event. But it's just going to be me this evening. Many of you saw on the flyer is Saqib was going to help present, and he's going to tell us about Talenteer. And we are bummed that he can't make it, but he did give me his deck, so I will be sharing with you his deck later on. And I can do it right now. Okay, great. So now, those of you who are wondering what is N8N, well, basically N8N is just JSON coding that connects automations. And unlike something like what was the one that was out a few years ago and is blanking on my name, this one's free. Well, I shouldn't say free. They have a free tier, and for most, like you and I, you're not going to use it that much, and that free tier is just going to be way too just wonderful. It's going to be much more than we need. Now, if you start to get into things like where you are offering this automation to other people, and who they they need, I'm looking at guests and allowing them to having them join. So if I get a little distracted, that apologies there. But in the past, it was Zapier. Zapier, after a very low number of zaps, they will start charging you, and it adds up quickly. Fair enough. That's their business model. That's what we want them to do. But in the end, Zapier isn't something that is sustainable, unless, of course, you're making a lot of money already. And to invest in or commit to a large amount of money before you have really gotten a lot of traction, you've really proven your concept, these are things that you don't want to do. And because as a founder, sorry about that, as a startup founder, you want to be able to make sure that you are agile, you're getting the things that you need. And the main thing that, and my point that I would like to really want to mention is that when you are as a leader in a startup, you want to keep things light and what I would call scrappy. James Kwan, a leader in startups and the startup ecosystem, used that word the other day, and I really liked it. In your pitching, when you're pitching to an investor, they want to hear how you overcame obstacles. They want to hear those intriguing stories of you being scrappy, getting things for free, and being able to ride out and overcome those obstacles. This is character, and that's what they want. I mean, like, because think about it, they're guessing. Are you going to be successful? Maybe, maybe not. And so what they need is to be sure. And that assurance is how they make that themselves. And so what we want is to be able to share with them how we did that. And that's a long-winded way to say, yeah, you don't want to spend a lot of money too early. So because the problem is every day, 137,000 on average startups are launched, but very few, less than 5% are successful. What's up with that? And the main thing is startup founders, they know what they're doing. They have great ideas. They're innovative, and they know their topic. Many of the university and professors I know their stuff. They're brilliant people, but do they know how to build that strong business and get growth funding? Stop my sharing of that one and start my sharing of this one. Okay, so thanks to Talenteer, I have learned the tricks to building these automations. And let's see, there we go. And yeah. And this would be that trick, but I'll teach you that later. All right, so as promised, tonight we're going to go through 5 different automations. These automations are, they can be combined all in one, okay? But I didn't put them all together for a specific reason. And that reason is because this summer I took an AI course, and it was great. It was brilliant. The instructor is just out of this world. I mean, Altaf, if you ever get a chance to learn from Altaf, he is incredible. And there was so much going on that me, an AI expert, well, a little bit, was overwhelmed. And so I wanted to break it down so that you guys could get a step. And like I said, I will have all of these workflows in I'll put them all in the Google Drive. So you just fill out that form, and I put in the chat, and you'll get there. Okay. So now, the first thing I want to mention is this is the end goal. Okay, and this is basically a Telegram trigger where you have a bot on your Telegram. Oh, by the way, we're using Telegram because they let you use just a regular account. You can use a business account in LinkedIn, okay, but that's going to be more expensive. So one of the choices that we made with all of these, okay, using Telegram is that it costs less. And throughout this process, I will keep coming back to this, it costs less, because it's so easy for a startup founder to say, because every one of these companies will say you need to do this, and every one of them is $20 US a month. So you've got 10, 11 things that are costing you 3,000 Hong Kong a month, and that's not okay. You can't, as a small business, it will kill you. So basically, I send a message into my Telegram, and it will either say, okay, if it's a voice message, it'll transcribe it, and then it'll check my schedule. This is just an availability, and then it'll get back to me with my availability. It will also give me a written notice too, so it doesn't always have to say that. This is where we want to get our combining all of the workflows that I'm going to demonstrate tonight. This is where we want to get it. But if I put it all in one right now, most of you would walk out of here saying, wow, that's great. That's just the most wonderful thing. I saw so much and there's nothing I'm going to be able to implement afterwards. That is the key, right? And then when you have your team, because in 2 weeks, I'm going to be presenting on automation for teams. We're going to talk about things like tribal storytelling, getting the team to contribute stories of client work, of going through tough times together, of making that extra effort for your company, because they're the ones that need to be doing all the work. And so we want to be able to motivate those teams as much as possible. Okay, so keeping that in mind, but that's next in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I don't want to tease you guys too much ahead of time. All right. So I'm going back to my personal here. So now this is my Founders Institute demo. So that's the Telegram personal assistant. The next one is we're looking at Google Leads to Google Sheets. So what this one does is basically I start the chat with the start, and it will go scrape LinkedIn, right? It's doing it right now. Oh, this was the scrape. And then it's reading existing links, it's checking to see if we already have them. It's waiting so we don't overdo. Then it's adding them to my Google Sheet. Then we're going to go and look at the next page, and it's going to do the same thing. So now it goes through a couple times. And so I will look at right here. What we're doing is we are going through, and I am searching for investors in Hong Kong in linkedin.com/IN. So what does this look like? Well, this is it. So I just copy and pasted that same search, and what do we have? We've got on Anders, we've got this family office, Ashwin, an investor, Stephen King, investor, not the author, Eric Lee, investor, right? And Elaine C, an investor. So these are all investors, and I chose investors because this, you all have different companies, and we're here for sales, right? Rosa and Charlotte. Okay. Anyway, we're here for sales, but I knew everyone would be pretty excited about seeing how we can find investors. Remember, it's just site:/linkedin.com/IN. If you do linkedin.com, you'll get anything, right? But if we go ahead and just click in the site.in, now it's going to look, and Donald and Angus, All-Star, Tom Bryan, that's the second one. And there's Alan I was testing earlier today. Okay. And then Hound Investment, James Fallon, Charles Schmidt. Basically what it did was it just went in my LinkedIn, did the same thing. Or my N8N did that, and it came up with, I should probably show you the sheet. And here it is. So what this did was it gives me the name, right? It gives me the title. It gives me their link, the snippet, an image, okay? And there's the image. Look at that strapping young fellow, okay? But that gives me all this information, and now I can, and we'll show you later on how we're going to use this information from this same worksheet. We've got an outreach log and sheet 2 where we're going to be using those later on. But just keeping it simple for now. This is what this basic automation does. And it took, seconds to do that? Pretty cool. And you can add more or less information to it depending on what you need. But that is our initial step. Now, you could connect this with that. Let's see. You can connect this workflow. They call it a workflow. I call it an automation, but basically it is an AI agent. Okay. I was watching a podcast the other day with Ali K. Miller, and she said, if you are writing an email, the same email 3 times, full stop, not 3 times in a day, not 3 times in a week, 3 times, you need to have an agent doing that. That doesn't mean your agent will send out that email. It may just draft it for you, and you can do the final send. No problem. But everyone, you need to be doing these things. And I don't like to say need to, must, have to, or should, but this is really important. We need to be able to do these things, and that's what we're doing. So I'm going to go back to, there we go. Okay. So then now we have the personal assistant, right? Now we have LinkedIn leads. Just by running that quick search, it can scrape out all those leads. Now, I want to send them a DM, a direct message on LinkedIn. Okay, so basically, when there's an update, right, to that sheet, that LinkedIn sheet. See, this is the LinkedIn Google Sheet. When there's an update, it will update my log, and that is we get that trigger, then it will format a LinkedIn message, okay? And okay, so this all looks like coding, right? All right, it looks like coding. Do I know JSON coding? No, but I do know how to use. Yeah, there we go. I know how to use ChatGPT. So what was my prompt? Okay, I came all the way up here, and sorry, I'm not seeing that. So you are an expert workflow specialist creating a workflow that does the following. N8N workflow specialist, the following with the trigger which is a Google Sheet, the new row to append, we'll send a personalized outreach. It's going to check and that, okay, this person fits the criteria that I'm looking for, and it will send a quick message through Google, or through a DM through LinkedIn. Okay. Basically, I don't know how to do that, so it will create it. So this is the email one. I think this is there we go. This one is the. Okay, I really find that weird. All right. So this one is create a DM, personalized outreach with a DM. I realized when I started testing the Gmail or the email option that not that many people in LinkedIn. I mean, I have mine, but for some reason, not that many other people put theirs in there. Maybe that's why I get some kind of wild emails. So I just said, well, can we do a direct message? And yes, you can. You can click with the LinkedIn API or some other request modes, and you are going to be able to send with the trigger. You get a new contact, and it can be automatic or it can be set by you, but boom, now you can send a message, and it formats the message, it adds the content that you need. And now this is an initial call. You're going to send a message and then log it, right? I know one of my clients who is spending well over 150 US. I mean, this is my coaching client, by the way, on some tools in LinkedIn, right? These are tools that, you know, and they can have a slight cost, but you're getting all of those links. You are getting all of those, and it is limited to 100 per day for them scraping LinkedIn with a free account. If you pay for a bigger account with Google, you get more. And I was testing this afternoon, and that's why we're not doing a lot of demonstration, because I burned through my free account this afternoon. So that it happens. Right? So that is, first we have the Telegraph, then we have LinkedIn's, and then we're sending them a message. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a tailored three slide deck. I don't know why that's there, based on that message. They send a message back. Okay. We send them a message, then we're following it up, but we're also generating slide content with GPT. We're preparing slides, and then we have the add slides to presentation, right? And so based on this, we are creating add slide. So this is how this works. And unhook that, hook this. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. And this goes here. So now we have, I'm going to clean it up a little bit. There we go. And we're creating slides, adding them to the deck, and we have a deck ready to go for that client. Boom. Yes. And some of you are saying, but I don't know if I trust, and trust me, I've never used anything exactly the way Gamma creates it, or GPT creates it, or anything else, but it's mostly done. Okay, did you hear that? Mostly done beforehand. That's where we want it. Because at Founders Institute, we're here to help you succeed. I'm a startup coach. I coach pitching, not because, I just want to. It's something that's very fulfilling for me to help you succeed. And yes, I get paid for it, right? But that's not the only reason I do it. I can do a lot of things and get paid for it. But the main thing is I like to see other founders succeed. Anyway, getting back. So this is tailored pitch decks. Boom. It winds it up for you. Okay. Now, and how much time have you spent? Even if you check every step, and because you can do that, you can say, okay, this, we've got a new row in our Google Sheet, and have it signal you so that you can go look at it and make sure it's someone you want, if you want to do that. And after you do it a couple hundred times, you'll realize that, okay, it's doing it the way I want it to, because every time you do it, you're going to update it. And so with that, every time you can, get the Google Sheets, and you can have it tell you and get your permission every time. And here, for sure, I get permission, and check out the slides every single time. Because I'm still not fully, automated. Now, I'm an old man, right? And so giving up full control of everything is kind of scary. But just like learning to use GPT to help me create these, I don't see why I don't have these automations. Basically, I just said, you are an end expert. You know, create content ready, well, tailored pitch decks. That's it. Then it gave me all of this. Let's see here. This is the code. Basically, I copy the code, okay, and create the workflow. I'll demonstrate. Okay, careful here. And then there it is. I copied the code and I put it in there. Yes, I've got to authenticate and turn all these things on, but that was it. Right? I do the prompt, I copy the code, and I paste it in there. Right? That's it. So that's how fast it is. It's just you got to get in there and practice. Okay. I'm thinking of starting an N8N support group. Those of you who are interested, fill out that form and let me know. Okay. So yeah, I should probably check out that form anyway. Okay. So where is our chat? Anybody in the chat? Jerry, you're welcome. And sorry about that. Okay. Okay. I don't know why it's telling me to sign in. Okay. All right. So back to, okay, here's my data. There's the LinkedIn, for Christopher Lee and that row. So remember, it did all this stuff in seconds. It saved. Now I'm going to go back to the other one and the other one. All right, now we have that personalized LinkedIn outreach, leads to Google Sheets. Now let's look at effortless scheduling. Okay. Now this one is pretty cool because we have a Google Sheet, right? And it will check our calendar, right? And it will send us a message when someone, basically, in the last step when you're reaching out to them. Okay, I shouldn't say the last step, the step before. You put in your scheduler. I have a scheduler for Google, not Calendly and not all those others, because the Google one is free. Remember that. Free is better than spending all the money on Calendly or what was the one I used to use? Yeah, You Can Book Me. Those are costing money. Each month, you're paying a little bit more. Some things, yes, you want to, because there's a better quality, and it's definitely something that you want to pay for. But if it's free, and so whenever I get a Google event, it will send me a message on my Telegram saying you now have someone booked to use and it's from this list, from that list, and it's there in the calendar, and now it's booked. Okay. Or we can also actually, so you send them a link, and boom, there it goes. Okay. So now, pretty straightforward. And so then that's effortless scheduling. And the last step is one of my favorites because I'm notoriously terrible at following up. It's like I get out of a meeting and I'm like on top of the world, and I don't go back and write down the notes, or I'm on the way home and something else happens, or like usual, I will schedule back-to-back meetings. What do you do? How do you deal with this? And you can create a Telegram trigger where you send a message in your Telegram, and it will create a little bot for each one of these that you need to. You create a bot in your Telegram so that you can just turn on Telegram, record a voice message. I talked to John client today, and we had the sales meeting, and he wants this information and that information and that information. Okay. And he needs it by this time, right? You can also, and then it will transcribe the voice, update your Google Sheet, right? And so that's the outreach log. And so it updates the status on there. Pretty cool, huh? Because now it's done. Or you can also hook this up to Slack or any other, or Notion. You know, if you have a team that's larger than mine, you know, for me, I'll share the Google Doc or Google Sheet, and that's it. That's all we do. Let's just share that Google Sheet. And so this is high octane selling, really, because we've gone through, you know, all of these. You know, you've got a post-meeting follow-up. You've got a personal assistant. You know, you can check your calendar. You get LinkedIn leads for free just by scraping LinkedIn. It puts it into that Google Sheet. Then we have a way to, you know, create personalized outreach. In that personalized outreach, you put your scheduler. If that's appropriate. Sometimes you want to go back and forth, but you make it so that you get notified when they, I mean, like for me, I don't check LinkedIn as often as I should. There's sometimes I had an investor who's interested in one of my startup coaching clients, and I went almost a week, and thank God he was, you know, patient, because he's the same way. But I said, oh, I'm so sorry, I just noticed your message. Well, now you can set it so when you get that LinkedIn message from somebody that you've followed up with, you know, you've got their message right away, and that's that personalized outreach. Then you can send them the scheduler if it's appropriate, but then also right away it helps, you know, create this tailored pitch deck. And I have actually been known to send this tailored pitch deck in LinkedIn, because they ask, well, can you give me a little bit more information about your company, right? You know, my startup is we put textbooks into video games. Now my latest startup is where are putting AI into pitching, and so I'll get back to you on that one later on. There's lots of competition out there, but it's face to face. That's why we call it Pitch Camp Live. And in an effortless scheduling, so then we have them, they can schedule it right away, easily, and just pick up your phone and leave yourself, basically you're just speaking into a voice message. And on the end, it can actually, you know, give you a response, but that's your Telegram personal assistant. With all of these 5 steps, there's 5 steps plus the assistant. And you can create all of these and put them all together. Now, if you come to me with this, I can help you a little bit. But the reason I asked Saqib and Bijoy at Talenteer is because they do this a lot, right? I've got a team through them, right? It's called what he actually said, yeah, Warren, you have lots of contacts and lots of people talking about AI. I said, yeah. It's like, well, if you ever get something you don't know how to deal with, just send them to me. I said, okay, so does that mean I'm kind of white labeling your services? He said, yes, if you'd like to think of it that way. So if you have anything really big, let me know, and I can send you to Bijoy, because he is the one who, he's got the team. And I don't know why this isn't giving me. So, okay. Copy. And so now I'm getting to the point where I'm almost finished. Actually, I am. I talked about using ChatGPT. These prompts, if you guys want, I can put these prompts into what I call a working doc for each one of these. You can see how it created within seconds. I almost said minutes, but seconds, right? Each one of these. Now, tailored pitch deck generator. Copy, and boom, there you go. that fast. This is what we're talking about here. We, back in the day, for most startup founders, I don't want you to be perfect. When I'm coaching you, I don't want you to be perfect when you are doing these day-to-day things. I want you to be really good, but perfect takes 20% more, 30% more time. What we want is you to be able to get this stuff out quickly and iterate faster, because that's what you need as a startup. Iterate, iterate, iterate. Go faster, get better. And so basically, fill out that form and send me a copy of that form. And do we need N8? Lee, you said, do we need N8N for that? For what? For N8N is just the workflow. Now, you don't need N8N. There are others out there. N8N is just the most widely used, and it's easier for the first guys. Just like this coding stuff, I would know how to do this, right? I know how to code in Roblox, because that's what I teach my kids. In one of my startups, we do Roblox, and so then but I don't have time. I'm too old to learn too much. So I'm thinking that do we need an N8N for all these things? No, you don't. You can use, I think it's Block, and then there's other ones. But the main thing is be able to get out there and iterate quickly. Okay? When I was younger, we would make skateboards out of plywood. Incredibly flexible. We could do all kinds of tricks with them, and they would break. So we'd get the jigsaw out, cut out a new one, and try it again. So we could go through 4 or 5 skateboards in a day, but we were able to adjust and adapt quickly, painlessly, and very easily. So that's where you want to go. And all of these Google Sheets, you want to think of name, company, shared values, pain points. For me, this one is very important, shared values, because life is too short to work with a client or a customer that you don't like. And I say life is too short to work with bad customers. And that's very true. So those of you who want just to let you know, right before we wrap up, Isaac, just getting here at the end. So, you were here before. Because we're going to wrap up soon, that you fill out that Google form, okay? And when you fill out the form, then I can send you, obviously I'll send you automatically you get the link to the Drive folder that will give you access to the form, that'll give you access to these automations that I've shown you, and you will have to update them for yourselves. Okay, but remember how I showed you how to do that. When you're creating an automation, basically you're just going to copy and paste it in here, and boom, you now have an automation. Yes, you got to update everything, but hey, that's not going to kill you. Okay, so but if you signed up for this, I do not have your contact information. The Founders Institute, this is they have sponsored this, so they have your information. They will contact you, just like they contact me all the time, with different ways to build your company and make sure your company is strong. Okay, and so one more thing that I promised I would show you this. One last thing before we go, and that is this. And this last one before we go, this is something that Founders Institute has created, and that is they've got this new prompts, right? So that our startups can single prompt spec for vibe coding, ideation, startup ideation, bad ideas, blitz, first principles, before and after story, bundle, unbundle, right? So if you're trying to think about, okay, so do we, in my business model, do we bundle our products together or unbundle them? This is going to walk you through, right? And then the 0 to 1, 1 to N, it's going to help you build that, momentum. What are we asking? What are we not asking? There are critical thinking in here where it will actually ask you and draw you through a series of questions to help you clarify your thinking. It can be that collaborator. And by the way, an extra tip, if you tell your GPT or Gemini or whatever that they are a collaborator instead of just a tool helping you, you'll get better results, right? If you tell it that there's a snowstorm coming and that we need quicker, more effective responses, it will give you better responses because remember, it's trained on natural language. So it's been trained on all the horror stories. That's why the New York Times technology reporter was so shocked when GPT-4 told him to leave his wife and run away with GPT-4 because it had been trained on all of those stories. And human beings, we follow stories because it's easier for us to conceptualize. So anyway, and yes, there's their advertisement, but this is all just benefits of being part of the Founders Institute and some of the things that we're offering, because everything you're doing in Founders Institute now is AI. When I went through, we had to do it the old-fashioned way. So with that, we've got 2 minutes left. 2 minutes. Who has a question? And if you don't have a question, fill out that form. And I'm seeing some questions. I'm loving it. There we go. Thank you. There's vertical explanation. Informative. And thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. And best way to do it. Yeah, I'm part of that leadership team. And yeah, for those of you guys have any questions, let me know. Send them in the form, put them in the chat. But with that, I do my best, and I apologize for starting 2 minutes late today, but I do my best to start on time and end on time to respect your time and mine. So that's why, and again, for the few of you that my bad. So, but 2 minutes, hopefully you can forgive me. Okay, so looking forward to crossing paths with all of you in the future, whether you're here in Hong Kong or in the Philippines or in Vietnam, Singapore, Thailand. Oh yeah, and we had someone from Korea, and recently we had a live event here last month, and we had someone fly all the way up from Singapore to join that event. So be watching out, and we'll put you on the list for future events in the future. So with that, goodbye, good luck. And I really do appreciate your sticking around and taking this time to commit to getting yourselves better. So, thanks, Lead and Sam and everyone else. We do appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the next one. 2 weeks from now, we're going to have another one. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome, Leo. Bye now. You guys are so great. Okay.